So what went wrong? I mean, for a generation you were democratic freedom fighters against the Ethiopian occupants, but nowadays you are considered as the worst dictatorship. So what went wrong? What's your explanation?
I think you will have to ask the people who are making those charges against us, because
But you have a theory?
Our movement has not changed. We are the same people who fought for freedom, and we're still the same people who are trying to serve our nation. You have been to Eritrea, and we invite others to come to Eritrea. You can see that the Eritrean leadership lives with its population. It lives modestly. It lives in the same type of housing that Eritreans live in. The children of Eritrean officials go to the same school where other children of Eritreans go to. They go to the same hospitals. When the wives of Eritrean officials, or even Eritrean officials or women, go to give birth, they don't go to give birth in Europe. They go to the same hospitals where other Eritrean women give birth. We're a leadership that is very close to its society. This is one leadership that has not changed, transformed itself into a ruling class after winning a national liberation struggle. It's still committed, it's still working to serve its society. It's a leadership that should have been respected, applauded for the efforts it's making. I'm not saying that everything is perfect in Eritrea. There's no perfect society in the world. There can be individuals who abuse their authority, as in any part of the world. Individuals who abuse their authority and who are brought to justice. But the government, the leadership as a whole, is a leadership that is still clean, that is committed, that is working for the population. And this is why, despite what is said abroad, there's a very strong relationship between Eritrea, the government, and its population.
But the new standpoint from United Nations and European Parliament towards Eritrea, how does it affect you in reality on the ground in Eritrea on the daily basis?
Well, as I said, we try to engage and engage widely. We don't have negative relations with the European Union. We don't have negative relations with many countries in the world. We have good relations of cooperation generally, even in among European countries. But like you said, there has been very negative publicity on Eritrea. I think it's beginning to change, and I'm confident that it is going to change. Time will come when people will stand up and notice that this country that they have vilified, in fact, has done something positive, something unique in many ways. A country that does not beg for alms, but tries to rely on its population and on its resources.
But do you have any understanding that people in Sweden think 9 years in prison without trial, isolated from his family, is considered as a human tragedy? So do you have any understanding for that?
Well, as I said, when people commit crimes, they have to face the consequences of the crimes that they commit. This is only justice, in my view. The question, as I said, is this is an Eritrean matter. It happened at a difficult period in our history. This is a period of our history, a phase of our history that we're trying to bring to a close. I wish Sweden and other countries would help us close this chapter instead of trying to, in my view, exploit this issue in order to antagonize, isolate, attack Eritrea, because it does not help. If Swedes or some Swedes believe that they are more concerned about any Eritrean in detention than Eritreans themselves, than the Eritrean government itself, I just want to tell them that they are hugely mistaken.
But how does the Swedish campaign, the Swedish media campaign, affect your government and the possibilities to free David Isaak? Did it do any good?
As I said, this is not a campaign for freedom. This is a campaign of vilification against Eritrea.
But still, he's in prison since 9 years.
As I said, this is a campaign of vilification against Eritrea. I believe that the Swedish media owe it to Swedish citizens and their readers to give them an accurate picture about Eritrea and about this case. They have failed to do so. They have been shouting, attacking, insulting, hurling insults instead of explaining to Swedish citizens why they are raising this issue and what Eritrea is really about, what Eritrea is trying to achieve. Why can't we see a balanced coverage of Eritrea and the Eritrean issues? Why is it that the Swedish media, when it comes to Africa, can only say and focus on what they consider is negative, whether it's real or imagined? These are the questions that I think we need to pose to those who are waging this campaign. I just want to tell them they're trying to poke their fingers on Eritrea's eyes. Can they for a moment look themselves in the mirror and say, are they really being fair in what they're saying? Can they ask themselves, do they really know what this issue is about? Then we can have a dialogue. But if it is someone hurling insults at me, at the end of the day, I will say I'm being treated unfairly, and I will go my own way.
But for a long time you chose not to communicate with Sweden about David Isaak. Can that not be a part of the problem about what you're talking about now?
Well, it's not true. It's not true, because we were never given an opportunity, never given a platform to express our point of view on this issue. It's not true. Not just Swedes, others ask us about any issue they want to, and we reply. Every year we have tens of journalists from media throughout the world coming to Eritrea, reporting from Eritrea, doing interviews with Eritrean officials, including our president, and we are accessible. There is nothing we hide, and therefore we are willing to communicate and express our views, not just to the Swedish media, but to media throughout the world.
So what can you tell us about the dialogue between Eritrea and Sweden at the moment, this very moment?
Well, I don't believe there is any serious dialogue between Eritrea and Sweden at the present time. Our view is that Sweden has not showed any interest on the issue on relations with Eritrea. Sweden and Swedish political parties, unfortunately, have been playing politics with this issue rather than looking at the totality of Swedish interests in our region. Sweden has, for some reason that we fail to understand, disqualified itself from playing any meaningful role in the region. So I can't tell you that there is any serious relations between our two countries. For Eritrea, yes, we would like to develop good relations with all European countries, including Sweden. But if Sweden is not interested, then we have no choice. Our main preoccupation, in far as relations with Sweden is concerned, is the role and the welfare of the sizable Swedish Eritrean community that lives in Sweden.
So what can you tell us about the whereabouts about David Isaac now? Can you assure that he's still alive?
Again, this is an interview between Swedish media and Eritrea, and 90% of the time and 90% of the questions have been devoted to this issue. Can Sweden look at Eritrea? Can the Swedish media look at the 4 million Eritreans? Is a question that I want to bring back to your attention. I don't believe there's any point in discussing the specifics of the issue, and I have given you the reason why he's in detention. The specifics I don't believe are very important. I just want to suggest and call on the Swedish media to, as I said, have a look at Eritrea. You can talk about Eritrea's faults and weaknesses, but there's so much good about Eritrea too that I think you need to acknowledge in the first place, and then try to encourage if you want to.
So did Eritrea become the society that you were hoping for during the struggle, the long struggle?
Well, this is a work in progress. What I can say with full confidence is that the Eritrean leadership has not lost its vision. It has not betrayed the cause of freedom that we and the Eritrean people paid a lot of sacrifice for. It has not turned itself into a ruling class divorced from the population, as we sadly see in many developing countries, and even developed countries for that matter. We remain committed to the causes of Eritrean freedom, for justice in our society, for the liberation of our people, for the empowerment of our our youth. This is what we continue to do. We've gone through a very difficult experience in the past 2 years. We faced aggression from our neighbors. We had to fight an unnecessary 2-year war with Ethiopia, despite the fact that Eritrea was vindicated by the Eritrea-Ethiopia Boundary Commission decision. The Ethiopians continue to occupy Eritrean territory. The European Union, the United Nations and others, especially the United States, who should be upholding international law, failed to shoulder their obligations. So we've gone through a difficult period, but we remain steadfast, we remain committed, we remain true to our vision and our commitment to serve our people. As I said, this is a country which is peaceful, it's stable, there is human security in our society, relations between the population and the government are excellent, and we continue to work on a daily basis to improve the lives of our people, and we're moving steadily in that direction.